Hi guys, my name is Laura. Welcome to Hedgehog's Homestead. Today we're going to make a soft 3-seed bread. Okay guys, first we're going to need 1 1/2 cups of water. You want this water about 90 degrees. Filtered is preferred. You're going to get a better result from your bread if you use filtered or bottled water. I can't preach that enough. That's one of the secrets about bread making. Okay, and then to that we're going to add 1 1/8 teaspoon of yeast. Just going to give that a little turn with my whisk. This is a dough whisk. You can find these on Amazon. And then we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. That helps our yeast activate and get happy. Okay, and then in here I have 2 1/4 bread flour. You can use all-purpose unbleached flour. Unbleached flour does work better for bread. Bread is kind of finicky, so hence the filtered water and the unbleached flour. And then I also have in here 3/4 cup of whole wheat flour. So we're going to add that in. And then to that, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. Okay. And 1/4 cup of rolled oats. 1 tablespoon and 1/4 cup of sunflower seeds. And 1 tablespoon of sesame seeds, but I don't have any at this, or I'm sorry, it's 2 tablespoons of sesame seeds. I don't have any at this point, so we're just gonna leave them out. And then we're gonna put in 2 tablespoons of oil. Now that's a canola oil. I'm using avocado oil. I prefer avocado oil over canola oil. It's just better for you. And then in there, we're also going to add 1 1/2 teaspoon of honey. I like to put a little extra, but because this recipe really doesn't have, I'm just going to put in mine 1/8 of a cup. A little less, that's okay. Take my fancy dancy dough hook here. These things are amazing because the stuff really does pass through it easier. And I'm just gonna stir this up until it's all combined. Okay, so that is combined, but there is not enough moisture in there. I double checked the recipe just now, and I'm gonna go ahead. That's really on the low scale. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in here another 1/2 cup. So something doesn't look right, guys. It's not normally right, so put this in the microwave for 30 seconds. Filtered water from my fridge. You don't have to go fancy with the filtered water. 90 degrees, or what a baby bottle would feel like. Now, since the recipe called, I'm just going to put a little bit in at a time, because the recipe called for 1 1/2. This is how you fix a problem with a recipe, guys. And that's the secret about bread also. You kind of have to go with your gut a little bit. If it doesn't look like it has enough moisture in it, it probably doesn't. And this was very obvious. So. But that's what the recipe said to do. I've made this bread before and I've never had a problem. Okay, so I added a whole another half cup. Okay, that's starting to come together. I did wash my hands. Take off my rings. I just kind of start flipping it around, making sure that it's going to come together. I think it needs just a tad bit more water. You can see how there's like loose pieces in the bottom. So that's a total of 2 cups of water. It's only going to need a tad bit though. So I've got like 1/4 of a cup in here. You don't want your water too hot. You only want it lukewarm. You kill your yeast if you don't. So I'm only going to give it a few seconds here. Okay. That's good. Perfect. You don't want to spend a lot of time mixing this. Okay, that has enough moisture now. It's pulled everything in. It's turning into a round ball. That's what we want. Now, what we're going to do with this, it's all it's taking for mixing. It's that easy. This is a really simple bread, guys. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put a timer on for 20 minutes. And then I'm going to do, after that, a series of stretch and folds. And I'm going to do those series of stretch and folds. I'm going to do 4 stretch and folds 30 minutes apart. So right now I'm going to let this sit for 20 minutes and then I'm going to start those stretch and folds and I'll show you how I do that. And as I'm doing those stretch and folds, I'm also going to put it in my oven, either under my oven light or I'm going to put it, I have a bread proofing setting. I'm going to put it on my bread proofing setting in my oven. So it will start to rise. So it's going to give me a head start because you're going to have 2 hours where this bread is going to rise. And then we're going to put it in our bread pan. Then it comes to a second rise in that pan and then we bake it. So we'll be back in 20 minutes. Siri, give me a timer for 20 minutes. She has to think.
Okay, 20 minutes and counting.
You're a little slow, Siri. A little slow. All right, guys, see you in 20 minutes. Guys, welcome back. I screwed up on the recipe a little bit. I said it is 1/4 cup rolled oats, 1 teaspoon of flaxseed, 2 tablespoons of sesame seed. I don't have the sesame seed in here, but just full disclosure, I screwed up. So now we're gonna get to our stretch and folds and I'll bring you guys in closer and we'll do that together so you guys can see up close what that looks like. Looks like this. And what we're gonna do, just kind of want it nice and round. Okay. And then we're gonna pull on one side not very elastic, very stretchy right now, guys, but it will be later. So you're just gonna stretch it and fold it down. Stretch it and fold it down. Stretch it and fold it down. Stretch it, fold it down. Stretch it and fold it down. Okay guys, it's not going to be able to take anymore. When your dough is stiff like this, it just means that the gluten hasn't formed yet and it's overworked for right now. So right now I'm going to put this in my oven, either under a I'm gonna put this in my oven with my oven proofing on. You guys go ahead and either put it in a warm space in your oven with your oven light on or with your proofing on, but make sure it's in a nice, dry, warm place. You're gonna put some saran wrap over this. If your bowl has a cover, you can put that over this, or even a damp, wet towel, okay? I am going to put saran wrap today on this because I can't find my lid. So we'll be back after 30 minutes when it's sat in my oven under proofing. You guys do it the way that works for you, and we'll be back in 30 minutes. Okay, I'm going to stretch it out. Turn it over. Turn it over, turn it over, turn it over, and that's, don't want any pieces sticking out like that. Flip it over, always put it on its seams. And put it back in the oven. We are back. Our dough has risen to double its size. One thing I'm going to recommend, guys, that you don't put as much honey in as I did. This dough is a little denser than I'd like. I wanted to try that for personal things. This bread is going over to my sister's house, and they have little kids, so they like a little sweeter bread. So I recommend that you guys stick to the recipe, especially the first time you do a recipe. It's always good to stick to that recipe. I've done this recipe tons because it is my personal favorite as a go-to family recipe for bread. So and I will also put the recipe in the description so you guys have that. This is not my personal recipe, belongs to somebody else, and I will give her credit because that's where credit is due for the recipe. So let's get to shaping this dough. I'll bring you guys down a little closer, but you can see it has doubled in size. We'll come down. Okay, so that dough has doubled in size, and I had just sprayed this cooking pan. Now, I have to say, I love this cooking pan. I got it on Amazon. It's made in the USA. I spray it because the corners, it is a nonstick pan, works great. I have had dough or bread get stuck in the corners. So I just go over with a butter knife each time that I do it so that I don't have any bread ripping, but love this pan. Okay, now I'm gonna throw a little flour down on my table here, on my countertop. I washed my countertop really good while we were at break. I generously put it down. You don't have to put down this much. Okay, and then we're gonna just flop our bread onto there. And then we're gonna spread our bread out. Okay, and then we're going to make a nice rectangular shape. And then we're going to shape this dough. to our pan. Now it's not even going to be the full length of our pan. You take my rings off. Don't need any dough sticking in my rings. Okay, now we're going to take the ends here and squeeze them in. Okay? And then just go like that. Pull, squeeze it in. You're going to do this 3 times. Okay, one more time, bring it in and roll it. You don't want that, and then we're just going to roll it again. Okay. Then we're going to take these ends and tuck them under. Okay. This dough is a little bit drier because I used all that honey in it. You want to go back and just make sure you squeeze all that off. Squeeze it all together so it stays together, because you want your dough to have a nice tension on the top. Okay, I'm just going to kind of roll it back and forth. Then I'm going to put it in my pan like so. And you can see that there. Put it back in my bread proofing oven, or oven with a light on, or in a warm place. You always want to keep your bread to rise in a warm place. I'm going to put saran wrap on top of this. Put it back in that oven for an hour, or until this bread is at the top of this pan here. When it has risen to the top of the pan, that's when you want to start heating up your oven. We're going to heat our oven to 350, and we will come back when this is risen to the top of the pan. We don't want it to stick to our saran wrap, so we're not going to let it rise any higher than that, and you'll have a decent bread at that point. Then we're going to put an egg wash on the top, so you want a room temperature egg. So that's good to take out at the beginning of the recipe. Just note for yourself. You're going to put a nice little egg wash over this, and then what I put is a little more rolled oats on the top. And then I'm going to put it in my oven for a temperature at 350. So while I'm doing this all to my bread, you know, the oven is rising to temperature. Get those rolled oats on there, and if the bread hasn't, or the temperature in your oven hasn't risen to that point yet, just put it on top of your oven. That will keep it warm while it's getting ready. And as soon as it's ready, 350, you want to put it in your oven 35 to 40 minutes, or until it gets to the internal temp. You want to use a digital thermometer, works good. I use a regular meat thermometer. It's not digital, but it works great. To 200 to 205 degrees, in between that range. And then your bread is done, and you take it out and put it on a cooling rack. You take it out of the pan, put it on a cooling rack, and let it sit for a couple hours. And then your bread ready to taste. Okay, we'll get back to it. Our bread is ready to go in the oven. The oven is at 350. Now we will put it in our oven for 35 minutes to 40. So we will be right back. Nice and soft. Cuts nice. That's what the crumb looks like. Oh, it's really soft, guys. Nice. I was a little bit worried. This is my homemade butter. You guys can look for that video. I made it out of, my homemade butter. I made it out of heavy whipping cream that I had left over from the holidays. Okay. And I've made it before, it's delicious, so had to make it again. All right, guys, let's give this a taste. That's really yummy. I am pleasantly pleased with this bread. Maybe it's my go-to recipe because I've never really messed it up. It's always come out really easy. It's really simple to make, guys. So if you're looking for something that's a standout bread for your family that's good and healthy, a little bit like Dave's Killer Bread, this is our go-to family recipe for that, and we really enjoy it. So I hope you enjoy it as you guys try it. And look for my other recipes that I've done in the link below, and also I'll leave a description of this recipe in the link below. You guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining me tonight, and as always, God bless.